Hello and welcome. My name's Sissy and I'm Timothy's widow. Welcome back to part 2 of Budgeting 101. I know that for those of us who are grieving the loss of a spouse or a loved one, starting a new year can certainly feel like an unpredictable and daunting place to be. Not only are we dealing with the emotional weight of our loss, we're trying to navigate our own grief journey, get through the challenges of everyday life, and we're doing this all while trying to compensate with all of the secondary losses that are associated with the loss of our loved one. As we discussed in part 1, one of those challenges is navigating our financial landscape. For many of us, the household finances were something that our loved one managed, and now we find ourselves trying to master the art, all while trying to navigate our way through grief. Don't worry, creating a budget really is something that you can do. So get your coffee, notebook, and let's start walking you through the second part of Budgeting 101. So let's talk a little bit about getting started. If you haven't done so already, I highly recommend viewing part 1. That way, you'll have an idea of everything that you may need to get started on your own 2024 budget. In part 1, I provided a list of possible supplies, documents, and information that you may need to get your own budget started. Remember, it's okay if you haven't gotten everything needed so far. In addition to all of the normal, everyday life challenges, navigating grief, and just getting through is often a series of baby steps. And that is perfectly normal and okay. So let's begin working with what you have today, and remember, you can always add in additional items as you go. Remember, the way we're setting up budgeting allows you not only to be a little creative and customize the system just for you, it's also adjustable and flexible. So let's talk about getting the basics set up. For this part, you're going to need a 2024 calendar, notebook or lots of sheets of paper, pens, pencil, eraser, or whiteout. If you're going to be using the index card method, I highly suggest the lined, colorful, larger size index cards. And of course, if you're going to be doing the spreadsheet method, you want to have an Excel spreadsheet open. And if you have not used Excel, don't feel intimidated. I'll be walking you through the steps on setting that up. And bonus tip, if you're working with paper or index card method, try to give yourself a large enough work area to spread your items out as you move throughout the process. And of course, don't forget your coffee or your favorite beverage. Just be sure to have it safely away or lid covered to prevent damage from spillage to your documents and your desk or table. So the first thing that we want to do is identify our expenses. So this will be all the information that you have from your bank statements and copies of any bills that you have. So basically what you're going to be doing is going through each month of the year. So that would be January, February, March, and so on. And you're going to be identifying the day of the month that they are due. And then you also need to know the amount that's going to be due. So for instance, let's say that your car insurance is due on the 3rd. So you would just label down car insurance and the amount. And you're going to do this so forth and so forth all the way throughout the year. You also want to make sure that you do this for any yearly or maybe semi-annual expenses. Trust me, there's nothing worse than forgetting that you have your car insurance on one vehicle set up every 6 months and wake up and realize that it was pulled out of your checking account and you had totally forgotten about it. So these are the little areas that we want to try to make sure that we can avoid any kind of dilemmas as we move throughout the year. And I also highly recommend using a blank calendar that has nothing else on it. That way you can feel free to label in any of your expenses, check mark them, make any kind of notes if you want, and it's nothing but your expenses. It's related only to your budget and finances. Another thing that you might want to consider doing is making a printout of each month. If you're doing something like an Outlook calendar or Google Calendar or whatever the case may be. That way, again, you have a lot of room to make any kind of notes that you need. You can highlight or check mark as you go through to make sure that you haven't missed paying anything throughout the year. Okay, the next part is we're going to start setting up our spreadsheet. So I have a blank Excel spreadsheet open. And basically what I'm going to do, whoops, I don't know what I just hit on the mouse. We're going to call our spreadsheet 2024 budget. You can call it whatever you want, and obviously you can get as fancy with your spreadsheet as you want. But I'm just going to call it 2024 budget for now. And there. We made it a little bit customized, just to make the spreadsheet feel a little bit friendly and not so, what would be the word? Intimidating. Feel free to use whatever type of color, fonts, anything that makes you feel less intimidated and stressed over using the budget spreadsheet. So to get started for our layout, what we're going to do is we're going to use a week ending system. Okay, so I already know that the first week of January ended on the 6th. And we're going to make all of this bold. And then I also know that should be enough space. I also know that I like to use borders. So we're going to use this one. And we're going to click on OK. And I want to make all of this centered. And like I said, the spreadsheet, you do however it makes you feel comfortable actually working with it. So we know we're going to need a beginning balance. So we're going to put that in here. And I'm going to format that cell just a little bit. We're going to wrap the text. And because we probably don't need that column all that large. And then I'm going to put it over here. And I'm going to make it in bold. And since it's money, we're going to make it beautiful green. Beautiful green. Let's make it just a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay. Then we're going to start setting up our dates for each weekend. So simple formula. One cell, add 7 days. There we go. Then we're going to copy that formula over here. Then we're going to copy it over here. And last, we're going to copy it over there. Okay, so that gives us each of the days for the month of January. And we do carry over a little bit into February, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. So we're going to give that much space. We're going to format this. And again, I like to have my spreadsheets lined. I like to have all the cells lined and everything. That's totally up to you. You do whatever you think you want to do with the spreadsheet. And again, we're going to make an ending balance. We're going to use the format from that one. So come over here to Format Painter. Yes, I can't talk today, and we're going to put that there. And I don't like that. Well, we can keep that line there. So let's go ahead and, because that marks the end of the week. Oops. Okay, fine. Be that way. Come over, take all those. We're going to format. We're going to choose that one. And boom. Now, you may want to separate the weeks, and the way that I do that is I like to use a colored line coming down. So again, we're going to use the border, but we're going to choose a different color. I like the bright blue. We're going to choose a slightly heavier line, and we're just going to put that there. And there we go. And then we're going to take that format and we're going to separate it out. And each week is now an ending point with a blue line. And like I said, that's totally up to you how you want to do that. You know, customize it however it makes you feel happiest to do it. Another thing that I like to do is put a little bit of shading, so that way you have an ending spot that's shaded a little bit. And the reason that I like to do that is as you go down through the spreadsheet, you'll see February and then, you know, March and April and so forth. This gives you kind of a dividing line that your eye quickly takes notice of. And if you want to get a little bit more fancy, you can do that there. And okay, I don't think I want to do anything else as far as too much formatting. So let's keep the numbers simple as we go through. So let's say you're starting off with $500 in your checking account. So one thing that I definitely like to do is format my numbers. So we're going to go to currency. We're going to choose this one. Make sure we have 2 decimal places and our $sign. And boom, there we go. I like to have that one bold. Then at the bottom, we're going to let the computer do all of the math work. So it's going to figure out all of the sums. So, boom, $500 because we haven't spent anything yet. And I also like to have that in bold. Okay, next thing you want to do is tell the computer to carry over your $500. And we're going to tell the computer we want to carry over our formula. And we want to do this here. Control V, Control V, Control V. Now we got zeros here because we haven't carried everything over. Another thing you can do if you want is, since we have the empty cell right now in the middle, you can take both, Control C to copy, come over here, go like that, Control V, and whoop. I don't know, since I did the last update, I have noticed Excel doing some strange things, so I need to spend a little bit more time working with it. There's some like new pop-up things, and yeah, they did a little bit of updating last time my Microsoft Office got updated, and some things have definitely changed. But that's okay. We'll deal with it. I want to make sure all of that is in bold. So there we go. And we'll leave it like that. You can center it if you want. So you could do that, or you can keep it like that, or like that, or like that, or like that, or like that. But it's up to you. Like I said, it's customizable however it makes you feel. None of us are ever happy when we deal with a budget, but whatever makes you feel comfortable enough to want to continue working through your budget. That's the goal that we want to keep in mind. So now that we've got that in there, the calendar that you identified all of your expenses on, you want to go down through and each week fill in those expenses. So I'm just going to use some hypothetical situations. And first of all, let's just say you've got your electric bill here. And we're going to use simple numbers. And let's just say you have your rent or mortgage here. So let's just put that there. And let's just say that you have car insurance here. So we're going to, and let's just say that, let's just say that you have some kind of setup with Spectrum. So it could be your home internet, home phone, cable TV, whatever the case may be. The last time that I had a budget or bundle package with Spectrum, which had the home phone, the internet, and the cable, it was right around $280. So that's the figure that we're going to use here. Let's see, what else might we want to put in here? Oh no. As we format this, we'll think about it. So of course, here again, that's not how I like my numbers. So we're going to go here, we're going to format, come to format, we're going to go to currency. Now, I don't like to have the dollar sign when I set it up like this, but I do like to have it pop out with red. So in other words, I know the red is a negative, it's coming out of my account. Then another thing that I like to do is if anything is too wide to fit into the column, I will go with the alignment and I will go with wrap text. So that took my car insurance. So take a step back, look at it. Oop, let's just make that a little bit bigger. Okay, now it's up to you how you want to do this. You can center your numbers, which sometimes I think I'm more in favor of that. So there we go. So it has done all of our math work for us up to this point. So now let's talk about adding in any kind of income that you may have. So let's just call it payday, whatever the case is for you, whether you're still working and you're bringing in an income, or if you're getting Social Security, or whatever the case may be, you label it and then put in the amount. So let's just keep the numbers simple, and we're going to say $2,000. And since I'm still working, I am going to come through and put that at whatever week I need to. So there. So again, the computer's done the math for us, which is wonderful. That's why I like the spreadsheet. And it also is a very good way to tell us, where we might run into potential pitfalls in our finances. Now, one thing that I like to do is also use colored fonts. So in other words, you might want to use a bright green, and we could make that bold. So another thing you might want to do is go like that, then carry over the formatting to the next payday, like that. Doesn't affect how the math is going to work on it. It just makes it prettier to look at. Okay, so let's just say that this is the end of January as far as like specific monthly expenses that we have. Now, another thing that we want to take and keep in mind as you move through the budget, let's just say that you've got car gas. Let's say that you are lucky enough to be able to put in car gas every other week. I know some people aren't that lucky, but let's just say that it is. For me, I am not currently driving very far to work, so I'm not using a lot of car gas. So my car gas budget is not very expensive. So I'm just going to put in $35 every other week. And there we go. Now, like I said, your expenses and your budget are going to obviously look different than mine, and that's perfectly fine. So another thing that we might be looking at is groceries. How often do you go for groceries? How often do you spend? Or how much do you spend? For me, it's just me and the cat gets her cat food. So for the most part, I'm not spending a lot on groceries, not like you might be, especially if you have children or other people living in your household. And of course, it depends too where you're shopping for groceries, if you're using any coupons or you're getting any kind of sales. So that's why I said if you had maybe like the last month worth of grocery receipts, that would be really good, because you could take all of those receipts, figure out what you've spent. So I'm just going to put some random numbers over here. And let's just say this is what we spent on groceries in December. So let's just say we spent $250. And we went 5 times. So let's divide that by 5. That gives me an average of, say, $50 every week. So that's what we're going to put in here. And like I said, your amounts may be totally different, and that's perfectly fine. There we go. So that tells me what I'm working with at the end of each week. So not liking this amount here. I'm pretty glad that this is not actually my reality. It could be yours though. And that is why it is so great to actually use the spreadsheet method, because it can help you identify weeks where you know you've really got to stick to that budget and where you may have potential problems. So that is the beauty of the spreadsheet method. It just really helps. Like, you know that here I'm looking at maybe $80. So you may be thinking, do I truly need $35 worth of car gas? Maybe I can get by with 20. Okay, that gives me $95 now. And maybe on this particular week, maybe I only needed to spend $40 on groceries. That gives me $105. That looks a lot better. So as you see, the computer is going to do all of the math for you, and it's going to help highlight any potential areas where you might be thinking, oops, that could be a problem week for me. And then, as you can tell, by the time you get to the end of January, things are looking much better. So the beauty of the spreadsheet. So the next section that we're going to cover in just a few moments is going to be how to continue setting up for each continuing month throughout the year of 2024. Okay, now that you're seeing how the format of the spreadsheet is going to develop, this also gives you an idea as to how you can transfer this into a paper format. So if you're using a notebook, or if you're going to be using an index card for each month, whatever system you're going to be using, you're getting an idea now of how the format is going to be. And one thing that I did is I added a notes section over here. And this can be any kind of financial notes that you want to keep a record of. So things that you know that are going to be due that maybe weren't in your 2023 bank statements, some kind of new additional expenses. You may want to keep some notations over here. Are there any prescriptions that you have to get at the pharmacy? Do you have any kind of education or travel expenses that you just want to keep some extra notes on? Any kind of subscription services, so say things like Amazon, streaming services like Hulu or Paramount Plus, or anything that you want to keep any kind of notations on. This is a great area to do it in. On mine, I like to keep a record of my savings account. So say at the end of the month, I take an additional $15 out and put in my savings. I just keep a record off to the side of how much is in my savings account and how much I would have available if I need it. And for me, I like to actually print out a copy of the document and keep with me. And sometimes I will make a copy of everything. Sometimes I will just make a copy of this section. It all just depends. And like I said, the spreadsheet is very customizable and adaptable. As things might change in your spreadsheet, you just go in and update it. You can either remove or add whatever expenses that you need to update it with. So before we go into continuing the month of February, take a look at your spreadsheet as it is right now. Do you have all of your monthly expenses accounted for where they need to be for the week ending? If you don't, now's a great time to make sure that you've got them in there. Is there something new that you know is going to be added, but maybe you don't have all the details yet? You can just go in and let's say that we're adding in a monthly visit to the chiropractor. And maybe that's going to change depending on the visit, but we can add that in. Or you can delete and take it out. But the most important thing before we keep going is to make sure that you have all of your expenses and income labeled in January. Once you're pretty certain that you have everything, we're going to move into setting up the next month. So we're just going to take this section here and we are going to Control-C for copy, and we are going to do Control-V to paste. Now, computer doesn't know that you're moving into a different month, so it's copied all of your week ending dates. That's fine. That's not a problem. We can easily adjust that. So what we're going to do is go into this cell here. We're going to tell the computer to take this day, add 7 days to it, and boom, we now have new week ending dates. Perfect. So one thing you'll notice right off the bat is it did not carry through our ending balance from February 3rd. That's not a problem. That's very easy to change. Just go in here, tell it equals the sum of, click here, enter. Boom. You now have your ending balance coming over into your beginning balance. And I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. Okay. Now, the next thing that you want to make sure that you do is any income that's coming in, so whether that's your paycheck or whatever, chances are it's going to change because these week ending dates here changed. So you want to make sure that you get the incorrect ones removed, and you want to make sure that you have the correct week ending for your income, because there's nothing worse than having it in the wrong week and then finding out that it affects your overall figure at the end. So obviously, I know that this week was not a pay week, but this week is. So what I'm going to do is just do a simple copy and put that there. Then I'm going to do a copy there, and I'm going to do a copy there. Now, that means I have to get rid of the incorrect ones. So I'm just going to take blank cells, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here. Boom. Okay, so Income has now been set into the correct week ending. The next thing that you want to do is make sure that all of your expenses are going to be in the correct week ending. So in other words, the electric bill is due on the 5th. Okay, so that ended on the 3rd. So we've got there. That's wonderful. Each week or every other week, okay, we're going to have the car gas. So that's wonderful. We have the groceries there. That's wonderful. Now, the rent, let's say that that's due on the 10th. Oops, wrong place for it to be. So let's just copy, put it there, copy it there. Then make sure to take it out. Wonderful. Now, the car insurance, let's just say that that was due on the 15th of the month. So we know we need to make an adjustment. So we're going to put that there. Then we're going to make sure we get rid of it here. Okay, so let's say that Spectrum was due on the 27th of the month. So let's take a look here. Well, we ended the 24th, so it's going to be here. That's perfectly fine. Is there anything else that you need to adjust? Basically, just go down through, make sure you insert it in the appropriate week ending and remove it from the incorrect one. That way, your ending balance formula is always going to be correct for each week ending. So that would take care of up through March 9th. So what we're going to do is come down. We want to move into April. So we're going to copy here. And we're going to go here. Paste it all starting there. Okay. Now, as you can see, this time around, because we had put the change formula in here, it carried it here. So, 7 days, March 16th. Wonderful. So the only thing that you need to do then is just go and make sure that you've adjusted your income for the correct week ending and any of your expenses. And that's all there is to it. You would basically just continue the process all the way down to the end of 2024. And I like to set it up, do 1 month at a time. That way you can make those adjustments as you go through. But it's up to you, however comfortable you are in using a spreadsheet. And let's see, one more. There we go. So as you can tell, we now have plotted ourselves all the way out to January 18th of 2025. Now, I'm taking a look at the ending balance right now, and I'm thinking, wow, that would be nice to have that much in the savings account. Obviously, that's going to change, but that would be really nice to have that much in the checking account at that time. So then basically all you're going to do is come back up, work your way through each section, make sure that you have everything where it needs to be, and you should be good to go. If at any time you're thinking, this number here does not look correct to me, you can always check. I like to use Excel as a calculator. So let's say I'm in doubt as to whether everything here is correct. So basically what I would do is just take everything, do the calculator portion, and just make sure those formulas are good. 7, okay, so that matches that. And that's another reason why I like to have this section over here empty. Now, if you want, you can carry your spreadsheet all the way across. That's totally up to you. You do it however you feel that you are best comfortable doing it. And that's basically all that there is to it. You just want to make sure that you're adding the things in and subtracting them exactly where they need to be. And like I said, you can get as crazy with the customizing as you want. I know at one time I used to have all my items color coded. My current version does not have that in. I may go back through later on and adapt it. But say you want your groceries to always be a certain color, you can definitely do that. So there. And then all you would have to do is copy it down through. And as you copy continuing months, that will stay. So that's basically all there is to it as far as creating the spreadsheet. Okay, great. Now you see how the spreadsheet is going to be set up for the entire year. And by using the same format, you can also transfer that over to the paper format. It's pretty easy. It's not too complicated, and it will definitely give you a very good visual of where you'll be at the end of every week, say at the end of every month, and say at the end of the year. So come down all the way to the end of the year. I think this is great to see your financial setup like this for the budget on a long-term scale versus each week. To me, it just has so many advantages. You can easily pinpoint the weeks where you might get into trouble. You can easily pinpoint where you're doing, I like to call it impulse or frivolous spending. You can definitely see where that all the necessary items are going to be due, when they're due, how much you're going to need. And I just think it's very helpful to have a great visual of that the whole way throughout the year. It can definitely help you determine if you're able to put more in your savings account. And I do think if you can definitely get a emergency type of fund savings account set up, that's a great thing to try to do, or continue adding to one if you've already had it. So yeah, that's pretty much basically all that it is. Just setting it up, letting the computer do the math for you. Or if you're doing it on a paper format, like I said, you'll definitely want to have a calculator with you. So hopefully, I'm not a great teacher, but hopefully I've presented it pretty well that you follow the process. So definitely let me know in the comments if you have like any kind of questions or want to see me do any kind of like a future demonstration on how to do anything. But I'm hoping I've covered it pretty well that even a beginner would be able to successfully create the same type of spreadsheet for yourself or transfer it to a paper method if you need to. So next I have just a couple of bonus tips that might help you out on setting up your own budget according to however you want to. So like I mentioned, colored index cards, and I just pulled up Walmart here just to show some items. There's no sponsorship here or anything like that. Colored ones I like just because of the fact that it adds some color and it can make you feel a little bit happier. And sometimes we just need something to brighten our mood while we're trying to navigate through grief and all of the things that are now on our plate. So I recommend the colored ones. You don't have to use them if you don't want to, but I recommend it. These look kind of nice because, as you can see, they're wire bound. They are small though. So depending on how big you write and your eyesight, I know after you hit 50, we like to have things bigger print sometimes. So you want to pay attention to a size that's going to work for you. As we scroll down through, as you can see, there's a lot that are like coil or wire bound, however you want to work it. Here's some that are tabbed. This is pretty similar to the type that I used to use. It's a 5x8 size and it's lined. So those, I would recommend something similar to that. And for me, what I used to do is put the weeks, down across, and then on the back of the index card, I would write whatever additional type of notes or anything that I needed. And I just kept them with me. Whenever I needed them, they were in my purse. And that's a great thing. These are darker colored. You may not want to use darker colored ones. Just again, depends on you. You could also get some that are ring bound, or you can get a ring and do that yourself. So, there's lots of options that you can definitely look at. So that's one. And another tip that I think might be helpful for you is what they call, if I can type it in here correctly, a pen and pencil pouch. Now there's all kinds of versions of these out there, but this particular one, especially for any guys out there, you might not want to have a lot of girly colors. That's up to you. These are really nice. First of all, they have the holes if you want to put them in a type of planner or anything like that. I think that's great. And come back out of the zoom. So see how they've put different items in there. So you can carry this with you in the car whenever you're out doing any kind of errands or anything. You could keep a calculator in there, keep your index cards or a small notebook, pen or pencil, and you can actually put your receipts in there so that by the time you get home, they're still legible. They're not crumpled up in your pocket or in your purse, and it's very easy for you just to pull that out and adjust your budget according to whatever you may have spent for the day. So I would highly recommend purchasing something like this. Obviously, it depends on what your style is, exactly what you might want, but here's an idea for you. I think it would be a pretty good thing to have. You can get them in different colors, so you guys don't have to be working with all just pastel colors. You can have something that looks a little bit more manly. So yeah, definitely, they're not very expensive. As you can see, they're showing like $1.79. It's a clearance item, but definitely a handy thing to have. If you carry a larger size purse or a laptop bag with you to work, you can take it with you each day and keep it with you and jot down things. If you purchase lunch while you're at work, or if you're using the vending machines, you can go ahead and, track those expenses. Remember that you've spent that money and keep it written down so that you always have it handy to adjust your budget as you need. If you've made it to the end of this video, I congratulate you. You should be proud of yourself. We have covered a lot of material and ideas. I hope that this video has been of help to guide you and to offer you practical insight as you learn to master the art of budgeting. Being able to master your finances in the best way possible is an important aspect of rebuilding our lives after loss. This is just one of many financial strategies that may help provide you with some stability, empowerment, and control as you work on reclaiming your life after loss. It is okay if you can't create your budget spreadsheet or even determine Which method of budgeting might work best for you in one sitting? Baby steps are often very necessary as we journey through grief. Please let me know in the comments section if you have any questions or you would like to see something demonstrated in more depth. I would be happy to do it for you. Also, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so that you'll know when new content is available. Your support will help this channel continue to grow, and I am looking forward to providing you with more content as we navigate both grief and 2024 together. I've been Sissy, and I am wishing you much hope, light, and love. Until the next time, my friend, take care.